We all do it. You grab your phone, and without a single thought, it slides right into your front pocket. It's just automatic. But what if that simple little habit, something we do a dozen times a day, is quietly causing problems we can't see? Let's take a real look at what's going on.
So, let's just ask the question straight up. Is your front pocket really the worst place for your phone? We're going to dig into the science here, unpack what's actually happening at a biological level, and see what the evidence really says about this everyday habit.
Okay, so here's the fundamental issue. Our bodies are designed in a very specific way for very specific reasons. For guys, testicles are outside the body for one critical reason. They have to stay cooler than your core body temperature to work right. And when you slide a phone in there, you're introducing a couple of new stressors into that very sensitive and very carefully balanced environment.
So, what are these stressors exactly? Let's really get into the science of the threat. We're going to unpack the two big ones, heat and radiation, and see how they both lead to this underlying problem called oxidative stress.
So you've got two things to think about here. On one side, you have the heat effect. This one's pretty easy to understand, right? It's a direct physical stressor. But on the other side, you have the radiation effect. And this one's a little more complex, a little more debated. But believe me, the evidence that's coming out is pretty concerning.
Let's start with heat, because honestly, it's the simple part of the problem. Your phone gets warm when it's working, processing data, searching for a signal, running apps. When you stick it in a tight pocket, that heat gets trapped, and it raises the temperature in that very specific area. And we know for a fact that testes need to be cooler than the rest of the body to do their job properly. It's the same exact reason you're told not to use a laptop on your lap for hours or spend too much time in a hot tub.
But here's the thing. It's not just about the heat. There's another, more subtle player in this game: radiation.
Now we're talking about something called radiofrequency electromagnetic radiation, or RF-EMR. Now it's really important to get this straight. This is non-ionizing radiation. That means it's not like an X-ray, which is powerful enough to literally shatter your DNA. But, and this is a big but, a growing pile of research suggests that even this lower energy radiation can still mess with our biological systems, especially when it's held that close to the body for long periods.
So how can two totally different things, heat and radiation, both cause a problem? Well, it seems they both lead to the same hidden villain, a process known as oxidative stress. This is the common battleground where the real damage to your cells happens.
And I love this analogy because it's perfect. Oxidative stress is literally like rust forming on the inside of a super precise, finely tuned machine. It's not a sudden crash. It's a slow, grinding, corrosive process that wears down delicate functions over time.
So what is actually happening at the microscopic level? Well, oxidative stress is caused by these unstable molecules that basically act like tiny pinballs, bouncing around inside your cells and causing damage. And when it comes to sperm, this can lead to some serious issues. Their DNA gets fragmented, their outer shell gets damaged, and all of this means they're less able to do the one job they're designed for.
And this cellular rust isn't just a threat to the sperm cells themselves. The bigger worry is that it could also be damaging the factory where they're made. And this brings us to a potential hormone connection. Because your testicles aren't just making sperm, they're also the body's primary testosterone factories.
Some of the research suggests a potential chain reaction. The thinking goes like this: long-term, close-range exposure to that radiation could damage the specific cells responsible for making testosterone. Over time, that could lead to lower testosterone production, which in turn could throw off the entire hormonal system that regulates your reproductive health.
Okay, so we've talked about the how, we've talked about the science, but what is the actual real-world risk? It's time to separate the facts from the hype.
This chart does a great job of showing the bottom line. It's from a major meta-analysis, which is where scientists combine the results of a bunch of studies. In this case, 10 different human studies. And what they found was that on average, mobile phone exposure was linked to an 8% drop in sperm motility, that's their ability to swim, and a 9% drop in viability, which is the number of healthy living sperm.
Now, it's really important to get this part right. This is not an all-or-nothing deal. Keeping your phone in your pocket for a day isn't going to make you infertile. The real concern here is about a slow, cumulative effect. Think of it like a constant, gentle pressure that, over years and combined with other lifestyle factors, just starts to tilt your biology in a direction you don't want it to go.
And that leads us to the most important question: what can you actually do about any of this? And the good news, the really good news, is that protecting yourself doesn't require some massive life change. It's all about taking back control with a few simple, smart habits.
So here are the steps, and you'll see they're pretty straightforward. It's all about finding a new spot for your phone, using your settings smartly, putting some distance between you and the device, avoiding that heat buildup, and just generally boosting your overall health. It's a full-spectrum approach.
Look, if you remember just one thing from all of this, let it be this. Just get the phone out of your front pocket. The power of that radiation drops off dramatically with just a few inches of distance. It's like a campfire. You get scorched standing right next to it, but take 2 steps back and it's perfectly comfortable. Moving your phone to a jacket, a bag, or even your back pocket makes a huge difference. It is by far the most powerful change you can make.
And of course, remember that your phone is just one part of the bigger picture. You can actively help your body fight back against that cellular rust. You do that by avoiding other known stressors, things like excessive heat, smoking, and chronic stress, and at the same time, giving your body the good stuff it needs, regular exercise, and a diet full of antioxidants from things like berries, nuts, and leafy greens.
All right, let's bring this all home. When you click away from this, what are the key things you really need to remember?
Here's the verdict based on what we know right now. Yes, there are likely small but very real effects on sperm quality. Yes, over the long haul, there might be a hormonal impact. And the risk is always going to be at its highest when you combine heat and close proximity. Those are the 2 big culprits working together.
So the safest path forward is also the easiest one. Just start treating your front pockets as a no-phone zone, especially when you're going to be sitting or carrying it for a long time. It's a simple little habit that could really pay off for your health down the road.
And that kind of leaves us with one final thing to think about. What other small, unconscious daily habits might be impacting our health in the long run? It's a good reminder that sometimes the biggest improvements to our health don't come from massive changes, but from fixing the small things we do every single day.